Welcome back to the channel, folks. Still in Thailand, but not for much longer. And the good news is we're going to have Bulge German to come back to. You may have seen the teaser and the photos that are on the Flames of War website. It's got you excited, folks. Well, it's got me bulging with excitement. Maybe bulging is not the right word. It's got me very excited. Obviously there's all the big vehicles, tanks and such likes. But for me it's the infantry. That's the real difference. Less well trained, less experienced, more of them, and as a result you can bring along enough of them to support all those big new tanks and other toys. But let's have a look at the website and maybe talk about what we're going to do on the channel when the new releases start to come out. Let's start with the book. Now there's a lot of new vehicle types coming back to Flames of War in version 4 in this book, and a lot of unit types. A particular favourite of mine is the Panzer Brigade, or the infantry equivalent. So that is the less well trained, less well motivated and easier to hit kind of Germans. So you're going to be able to play your Germans, your existing kit, with a quite different approach to the game. So you can see here we have a Panther, Late, Brigade, same for the Panzer IVs, and also Armoured Assault Company, Brigade Armoured Panzer Grenadier Company, and then Brigade Panzer Grenadier Company. So like the Armoured Assault is going to be your assault rifles, Armoured Panzer Grenadier Brigade is just going to be Panzer Grenadiers and half-tracks, and then Brigade Panzer Grenadier Company, just the ones on foot. There's going to be a lot of differences in the armoured versions, the assault one and the Armoured Panzer Grenadier, because of the bigger choice of vehicles you can have, but otherwise just picture the infantry you're currently using, lower quality but more of them, or perhaps not so much more of them but more things to support them. The big difference is going to be the assault rifles in the Brigade Armoured Assault Company. And then you've got some new SS formations here, guys, because you've got the Tiger II SS Tank Company and then the Panther Late SS Tank Company. They've got some infantry and an armoured SS Panzer Grenadier Company. And then if you're going for the most experienced and expensive troops, you've got Tiger II Tank Company, Panther Late Tank Company, Armoured Panzer Grenadier Tank Company. Now these are very similar, other than the new vehicle types, very similar to what you may have seen before, but especially in the Panzer Grenadiers, once again you're going to have a wider choice of half-track support. Then we have a Volksgrenadier Company. Always good to see this back, guys. Hopefully there'll be some special order metal minis available for that. I do like those sculpts. A Jag Panther Tank Hunter Company and a Jag Tiger Tank Hunter Company. The big tank hunters are back. It's hard to say exactly how effective they're going to be, even the King Tigers, folks, when we're playing version 4, because things are so much more mobile and reserves can come in from so many different angles now. Protecting those vulnerable flanks is going to be a bit of a challenge, but that's the nature of Flames of War in version 4. It's much more mobile. Doesn't mean you can't take the cool looking stuff though, guys. So let's start looking at this cool new kit, starting with the starter force. Now I've not seen the formation diagram, so I don't know if this is actually a standalone formation, because you can see there are 2 tank hunter units, specific tank hunter units in it, and that could be a company command and a combat platoon, you know, the Jag Panthers and the Hornices. But I don't know, so I'm undecided on whether or not this is a standalone unit. That remains to be seen, but it's got lots of new kits in it for us, guys. It has the Jag Panthers and the Hornices in plastic. It's also got the Hummels in plastic. Previously you had to buy them in the newly sculpted resin versions, but now you can get them in plastic, folks. So are you going to get this? Well, if you're new to Germans, you're definitely going to get it, because you've got Panzer Grenadiers, Hummels, which are a great addition to your force, and some very useful tank hunters and a very useful Panzer IV platoon. It's also got a couple of Pumas in there, guys. Personally, I don't have any Pumas, so this is a good reason for me to buy this, as well as the other kits that are completely new to the hobby. So there you go, guys. German starter force. If it is a completed formation, you may well see this on the table going up against other similar kind of formations as we did with the American Bulge starter box. So let's have a look at infantry now, folks, starting with these Volksgrenadier Assault Platoon blister. From this, you'll be able to make the Assault Brigade and the Volksgrenadier infantry. And you'll notice that it's got a formation command team with it, so 2 blisters of these will get you your full formation. Now the infantry, as I said at the start, has got a lot of changes, going to really change the flavour of how you play them in version 4. They are going to be aggressive. They're not going to be particularly well trained. They're going to have lots of anti-tank weapons, but don't see yourself clobbering tanks left, right and centre in assault, because they're not going to be hitting very easily, especially if you've got Shreks being small teams. And because they're aggressive, you're not going to be able to just sit and hold ground as you did with your careful Germans. You're going to probably have to play them aggressively. If you've got tanks coming at you, go after them with your anti-tank weapons, because I think they're going to have 2 Fausts and up to 2 Shreks, so you're going to have to go after them, assault what's left if you can, and then survive any subsequent assaults that come into you by destroying tanks in defensive fire. So very, very different. Now these will paint up very similar to how we have painted our infantry in the past. So in terms of tutorials, I think what we're likely to do is do a live stream with them. So it's going to be an opportunity for you to see something familiar, but to get involved and ask questions in the painting tutorial, as opposed to just seeing something you've already seen. And we'll make sure that that's advertised well in advance, and that's something new for us, folks, one of the changes we want to make to the channel. Another infantry unit is the Fallschirmjäger Assault Rifle Platoon. These represent the very poorly trained Fallschirmjäger that supported Piper in the main, but also had a formation of their own. I don't know if they've got an entire formation in the book. I didn't see it mentioned, so that might come in a card. These guys are not very good, but they have tons of equipment. So once again, another very interesting, very different unit which you can use your existing forces for, or if you don't have them, buy this nice individual blister. And once again, if we do painting of these guys, it's likely to be a live stream. Let's have a look at all the nice new vehicle kits coming our way now. Many of you German players will be excited to see them. Many of you may just be excited to build and paint them. And you know, we share that excitement. So let's start with the Tiger II platoon. We are going to definitely be doing a tutorial on this. Unlikely to be a live stream. I nearly said live stream there, guys. It could turn out to be a live stream depending on the technical difficulties we face, but this is more than likely just going to be a dedicated tutorial. I will decide what kind of camouflage to use, because there's so many different variants, and you know, including the ambush camo. So I'll give that some thought, and hopefully the tutorial will help you guys choose how you're going to go yourself. We're definitely going to be using them in the games. I think it could be quite a challenge. Even with the SS version, you're not going to get a lot of these, and version 4 being so mobile, they may find their flanks coming under a lot of fire, and they're good on the flanks, but they're far from indestructible. On the front, they're indestructible. On the top, pretty much so. They may be vulnerable to aircraft. We'll see. We're definitely going to get these guys in a game for you. And then we've got the Yad Tiger Tank Hunter Platoon. Particular favourite of mine because it's just such a ridiculous vehicle. Just like the Grant or the Lee are a favourite of mine because everything about them is wrong. Same with this, but it is very effective in the game with the same kind of weaknesses as the King Tiger. If you want a very small formation, very cheap formation, one that doesn't take a lot of time or money to put together. Yad Tigers, Kind Tigers can do that for you. I really enjoyed playing a Yad Tiger formation in version 3, and I actually found it to be very effective. But in version 3 your flanks weren't under quite so much of a risk. Battles were much more sort of square up to each other and things didn't move so fast. Now once again there will be a tutorial for painting these guys. I'm really looking forward to it. You can do so much more with such a large area of tank to paint. Now these armoured flak platoons, the brigade elements, the Panzergrenadier elements for the infantry in the new book has got a lot of these in it. You can have multitude of platoons of these guys, as well as many of the existing half-tracks. So you could get an absolute swarm of vehicles on the table with these. So we're going to be painting them, I would imagine. We're going to get a guide up for these two. There might be not too many surprises in here. If I can do a live stream, I will. Got to think about how I do that though, folks. Airbrushing is very noisy, but we'll see if we can do something different with these, because you've seen me airbrushing half-tracks and similar vehicles in the past. But we'll definitely be seeing them. Very interesting units. I think some very interesting formations that we'll get in a battle report for you. Then we've got Panther stroke Jagdpanther box and the Hornies stroke Hummel box. In terms of tutorials, it's likely to be something in the Panther and Jagdpanther area that we do, folks. There'll be some really nice late war, probably hard edged camo that we can do on these guys. Ambush camo as well. There are some very particular Jagdpanther camos that we can use, so we might do a tutorial with them, and you'll definitely be seeing these guys in action on the table. Panthers more than likely in a support role, but the Panthers definitely in the Panzer Brigade role. I really like that formation. Absolute minimum it'll be 8 Panthers being used. That's front armour 10 Panthers with a bucket load of support. That could be really fun to play, guys. You might be taking hits left, right and centre, but you'll certainly be dishing out damage left, right and centre as well. So Panthers, Hornies possibly on the table, guys. We'll see what we can do. And the Hummels are likely to be much more affordable compared to the fitting them into a well-trained kind of list, because you're going to have those extra points to use. So maybe Hummels instead of Wesps coming up, folks. And then a couple of artillery options. You've got the Grill, which is a really nice artillery weapon. They come in packs of 2, so I reckon they'll be in platoons of 2. You might get them in platoons of 4, but they might only be up to 2 in a platoon. But they're really nice. There is a potential for a painting tutorial on them, folks, using masking, a very particular hard edge camo that I've done before. It's very easy to use the masking with it to get some nice fine lines, but we'll come back to that. And then particular favourite of mine, I've got 2 of these already. I don't know how they're going to play, and I'm really looking forward to finding out. In version 3 they were great against buildings and bunkers, but then suddenly turned into a little firecracker when fired at anything else. So I'm hoping they're going to be template weapons, maybe with the option of specifically targeting bunkers or buildings or such likes. But you will definitely be seeing Sturm Tigers, guys. It'll be the very first thing I get in my lists, just because once again they're completely ridiculous. So German, you know, just completely mad and over the top. So there you go, folks. I am very happy to be coming back in time to get started on these as the releases come out. We'll get lots of tutorials, share them with you, hopefully give you some ideas. That includes also the basing of the infantry. Should point that out. We're going to show you how you can get some nice wooded but practical, shall we say, wooded but practical bases for your infantry if you want to get that Ardennes feel, you know, the close-in fighting in and around all those key crossroads. So we're really excited to be doing all the painting, getting the new kits and getting the new lists on the table, guys. So if you've got any thoughts yourself on what you'd like to see in terms of the games, in terms of the tutorials, stick them down below. Otherwise, folks, I'll definitely see you when we're back in Scotland and if you'd like to keep up with all these tutorials and releases, then subscribe and hit the bell button, which means we'll definitely see you guys on the next one.